first time I met Dio, we were doing a festival in Japan, and I guess it was just Dio because it wasn't Sabbath, because we had Sabbath's production manager on our crew, and he, I knew he worked for Sabbath and Dio, so I'm pretty much wasted waiting for the day we play as usual. And I said, I'm gonna go meet Ronnie James Dio. So I go over to the table. I don't even know how I presented myself. I'm sure it was half funny, half stupid, but I got to talking with Dio and realized he was a huge sports fan, and this was during whatever year the Colts went to the Super Bowl and won. So it was like 8 weeks in the season, and he was all into Chicago, saying Chicago's going to win the Super Bowl. Whoever goes up against him, I said, I don't care who goes up against him. The AFC team's going to win. That was the year the Colts went. That was the year I had a day off in Indianapolis on Super Bowl Sunday and watched the Colts win and collected my cash about 6 months later.
Fuck, Ronnie James Dio, I feel like he's been a part of my life since I've been listening to music, basically. So it was a huge influence on me personally, and I'm sure as for everybody sitting here right now.
Absolutely. We never we did a short tour with Dio back in I think 1990, but other than that it was festival appearance. I think you guys did a whole run with Heaven and Hell a couple of years ago, right?
The last thing that we did together with Scott was in Japan. We played with Dio.
That's right.
And for me, the thing that I liked, one of the first records I ever had when I was a kid was a Dio, I think it was Rising, the one that had 16th Century Green sleeves on it.
Rising.
And when Lars and I first met, we would hang out all the time. He would do rainbow solos all the time and play air guitar and stuff. And my personal favorite was songs that had the record that had Lady of the Lake on it and Long Live Rock and Roll. That was a great record for me. I thought that was great riffing on it.
I saw, growing up in Denmark, Rainbow came to Denmark literally once a year. So I saw Dio 3 times with Rainbow, and I actually saw Dio's previous band, which was called Elf. The first time I saw Dio was opening for Deep Purple in 1975 on Blackmore's last run. Like Scott said, Dio it's like I felt like I knew him all my life. I was introduced to his music when I was that big, about 10 or 11, and saw them many, many times. I met Dio the first time outside a hotel in Copenhagen when I was about 10 or 11, and he was very nice and took pictures and signed autographs and the whole thing. And just, we played with Heaven and Hell a couple, 2-3 years ago, and it's just like one of those oh my God, they're all here. Yeah. Tony's here, Ronnie's here, Geezer's here. It's just it's pretty amazing. So, and he was, the last time I saw him was when you guys were playing, you guys were touring with him at the Forum in LA a 2-3 years ago, and he just always made you feel like you walked into the dressing room, you always embraced, you always felt welcome.
Italian thing.
Have a glass of wine, and he always just when you were talking to him, he always looked you in the eye, and just it made you, listen, we're all, I'm sure a lot of us not get too starstruck anymore or intimidated or whatever, but still, when I was talking to Ronnie the last time in the dressing room a couple of years ago, it was like, oh my God, it's Ronnie James.
Yeah.
He's talking to me.
Yeah.
He's offering me a glass of wine. It was like, fuck.
And he would make you feel better. Seriously, I saw him the last time just maybe 2 months ago at the Revolver thing.
Yeah.
We were just at in LA, and the Golden Gods Awards, and Ronnie got best vocalist, and I'm talking to him in the dressing room, and knowing that he's got cancer and all this, and being super bummed about it, and somehow you have a conversation with the guy, and I walked out feeling better about the world. Here's the guy that's telling me I think I'm gonna beat it. The chemo's kicking my ass, but I'm feeling good about things. And we ended up having this conversation. I walked out of there I feel better. I feel better about myself as a human being after talking to Ronnie James Dio.
I remember the first time I met Ronnie. We'd done a tour with him for the So Far So Good So What record, and I walked up to him, and it was the first time I'd had a record that had charted very high, and I was really excited, and I said, hey, I want to thank you for taking us out, and he goes, well, I want to thank you for coming out with us, right? And then I said, well, no, seriously, I want to thank you for taking us out. And he goes, look, we could both sit here and jerk each other off, we can go smoke a joint, so, and I went, okay, I give.
I once asked him, we opened for Dio in 2004, And we bonded over the Yankees. I didn't know he was a big Yankee fan. So every night, and the playoffs were going on. So when they were on stage, I would stand on the side of the stage and I would give him scores of the games in between songs. But that's a different story. But so we're hanging out one night, and I asked him if he ever had a warm up. It made me think of it because you said smoking a joint. I said, like, do you warm up? Like, what do you do? Because it's just mind blowing that the dude still was
Had that voice.
fucking flawless,
Yeah.
right? I mean, not many people. You see a lot of guys that get to a point where they can't. The high register kind of goes, and not Ronnie. And he goes, no, I've never had anything. He goes, I usually like drink a beer, smoke half a joint, and I go on stage. And I thought he was fucking with me. I'm like, really? He goes, no, it's like seriously, that's what I do. I drink a beer, half a joint, and I go on stage. It's like,